Healing Show with one of New England's leading nutritionists, Mark Minkoff. The show is brought to you by the Good Health Stores in Hanover and Quincy. Call Mark at 781-837-4900 with your health and nutrition questions. Now, here's Mark.
Good evening and welcome. Larry, you don't have to worry about me swiping those Cheez-Its.
That's okay. You can have some.
It's the trans fatty acids.
There's 100% cheese in there.
100% trans fats. Anyway, we'll just keep an eye on you, Larry. We want to make sure that you don't keel over in the booth this evening.
Oh, sorry.
And I think there's another person that probably agrees with me here. Catherine Foley, welcome.
Good evening.
How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Not seen you in a long time.
I know.
It's great to have you back in.
Thank you.
We miss you.
Thank you.
So tell us what you've been up to of late.
I'm just working a lot. The time flies when you're on the road.
When you're having fun working, right?
Right, yeah.
How's everything at Jar Formulas? And, of course, how is our friend Jara Rogovan?
He's doing well. He's actually in D.C. this weekend.
Probably lobbying for us.
Yeah.
Looking after our rights as nutritionally minded folks.
He's absolutely doing that. And, the climate has changed a little bit since last week. So it looks like national health care, we're going to have another shot at making it right, or at least doing something with it. So with the recent election of Scott Brown.
Scott Brown sort of changed the entire climate, didn't he?
Yeah, I think it was really good. You know, I had a lot of friends and neighbors telling me that they were going to be voting for his opponent because they felt like it was a vote for health care. And I tried to explain to them that, a poor healthcare system is not healthcare, and we have a responsibility as voters to, vote for the right healthcare system and not be pushed up against a wall by Congress and say, if you don't vote for this is the last opportunity you'll get. I feel confident that they will continue to resubmit it.
Well, the thing that I'm constantly complaining about, of course, is that we're talking about a $5 trillion expected expenditure and a budget of around $1.9 trillion per year with only 1% attributed to prevention.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just no such thing as prevention in this culture. It's crazy.
And that's the person taking ownership of their own health care.
Absolutely. And I think there's so many Americans these days that really would do perfectly well with the proper information.
Right.
I mean, that's what this show is about. That's what our life is about, just bringing people the information so that they can finally employ that information and make differences in their health care.
Yeah, it is absolutely true. Actually, this past week I did a training for the staff members at Good Health in Quincy, so it was wonderful to talk to them and talk to them a little bit about, some of the topics that we have spoken about, those key things being digestion, probiotics, bone density, and heart health. Those are kind of the three major groups there where the pharmaceutical industry
sounded like a little MK7 to me.
Yeah, a little bit. So those are the three areas where pharmaceutical companies really, take advantage and people kind of get messed up real quickly.
Well, and so many folks just automatically assume that whatever is happening in Washington and whatever happens with Healthcare America, it just must be okay.
Yeah.
And nothing could be further from the truth. World Health Report, the World Health Organization, of course, says that the United States healthcare system rates 37th in the world. And the delivery of the healthcare system is 72nd. In other words, our healthcare, the actual health of the people of this nation, when compared to all of the world evaluations of health, all the countries, all the great nations of this world, we finished 72.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that well. There's not a slam dunk here, folks. We need a lot of change. And to me, the thing that really needs the right kind of treatment in this change, in this revolutionary process is, of course, education and the inspiration of the public at large. I think, again, like we said, prevention's where it's at.
Oh, yeah. And there's a lot more of it. I mean, there's, more about alternative medicine in the press and
Sure.
We're
ready.
We're ready. People are actually ready. I mean, 10 years ago, I would say that, people were not ready to hear
Well, and and the other part of that equation is we lose $117 billion a year to obesity. Right. And there's still an awful lot of people, probably 2/3 of the American population, and a vast majority of those people who are dealing with weight issues, right, that know nothing about the difference between a carbohydrate that's a high-starch carbohydrate and a carbohydrate that's a low-starch. Every time I do a talk, I did a talk this afternoon, people, well-educated folks, really, in many cases, are not given the information necessary, the basics.
Right, and then high fructose corn syrup is the biggest, that is the biggest, coup of the century. Of the century, I just saw a commercial for, TV commercial for Pepsi Throwback, and it's the original recipe, which is the recipe was sugar, not the high fructose corn syrup.
The real thing.
So, right. And they're just playing games, and unfortunately, people's health is at stake.
Playing games. And when you think about where most of those folks are looking to get their information and where they're turning is the diet industry. Yeah. And you're talking about a $10 billion, that's with a B, a $10 billion a year industry. That is a 3% success rate.
Right.
What's going on here?
It's bad.
People are getting burned.
Yeah.
Bad stuff. Anyway, we've got a lot we're going to talk about this evening. We're going to talk about metabolism. We're going to talk about some interesting products from Jarrow Formulas and a lot of the latest research regarding many nutritive issues that are going to make a big difference in your life. We're going to talk to Catherine Foley when we come right back from these messages, and you'll be on the other side. See you then.
Hi, this is Laura from Good Health, proud sponsor of the Natural Health and Healing Show. Cold and flu season is upon us, and we have all the natural remedies you and your family need. Effective vitamins, herbs, homeopathics, and natural nasal sprays to protect you from germs and viruses. All our wholesome products are available at our everyday low prices. Come by and see us in Quincy Center or Route 53 in Hanover. Visit GoodHealthNaturalFood.com. Good Health, the intelligent choice for everything healthful and economical.
Right in our area, we are fortunate to have one of the top martial arts schools in the country, Personal Best Karate. Personal Best has been recognized for their community involvement, professional staff development, character building programs, and exciting educational curriculum. Personal Best stands at the top of their industry. 5 locations offering personalized professional instruction. Not sure if karate is right for you? At no obligation, the staff at Personal Best will guide you in a private introductory program to see if karate is indeed the right fit to help you achieve your goals and meet your needs. What does karate at Personal Best teach you? Character building, success habits, helps you get in shape, relieve stress, self-control, setting goals, and, of course, self-defense. Personal Best's goal is to create successful, contributing members of society through the practice of the martial arts at Personal Best. Mr. Chris Rappold is, of course, the founder of Personal Best Karate. He tells me his greatest joy of all is to see the personal transformation in each and every student. Bring out your best with Personal Best Karate. Telephone number 508-285-5425. That's 508-285-5425. Locations in Norton, Foxborough, Southeaston, Franklin, and Taunton. That's Personal Best Karate. Alrighty, and before we get cranking here, the Red Lion Inn and Restaurant in Cohasset, 71 South Main Street in Cohasset, 30% off all food and beverage until the 1st of February. So you might want to check out their website, and that's redlionin1704.com. That's www.redlionin1704.com. Of course, I do my presentations down there. I've been doing a series of presentations down there. I'll be doing another one in March. But they got a really interesting 30% off again special that you might want to take advantage of. Great time of year to take advantage of those specials. And 30% off again, food and beverage until February 1st. That's at the Red Lion Inn Restaurant. And that's, of course, 71 South Main Street in Cohasset. Check it out. And once again, their telephone is 781-383-1704. Red Lion Inn Restaurant. Just want to let you know about that. And we're going to talk this evening about a couple different things, but one thing I wanted to make sure we chatted about was a really interesting probiotic that you're developing at Jarrow, right?
Yeah, we should have it out in the next month or so. We're really excited about it. There's The future of probiotics is in single strain clinical efficacy. Because when you have a formula that has multiple strains, you're using that for overall health. But if you want to isolate one particular issue within the intestinal tract or digestive system, you're going to have to really, focus on single strains so that you can clearly define the mechanism of action, etc.
But this is actually clinically formulated specifically for IBS, right?
It is. It's one strain of bacteria that they have administered to a population of people that were suffering from IBS. The clinical study was in over 5 years.
Wow.
And the results were amazing and dramatic. And it is also pharmaceutically available. But we are the only natural or supplement company that is going to have the license to distribute this as well for IBS. And what's really exciting about this is that because there's clinical studies attached to the strain, it's approved by the FDA to have the health claim treats IBS, which is great because supplements are not allowed to diagnose or treat
of course.
On the label. But we're entering into a new era of dietary supplements where we are doing the clinical studies behind them, and we go through the same review process as pharmaceutical companies do.
So what will the name of this product be?
It will probably be Gyrodophlus IBS.
Gyrodophlus IBS. And when will that be available at places like Good Health Natural Foods?
Probably in about a month.
Great. So we can look forward to that. Gyrodophlus for IBS. Gyrodophlus IBS. And that, again, is clinically documented to support those of you who are doing battle with IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. That'll be available in about a month.
Yeah.
Great stuff. Also, you mentioned real briefly during the last top of the program, we talked about some of the bone training work that you were doing for those folks, osteoporosis, osteopenia issues for Good Health Natural Foods. No doubt your MK7 product came up, and I think that's a really impressive product.
Yeah, and we have that also in our Bone Up formula. But vitamin K, the paradigm about vitamin K is vitamin K keeps calcium in the bone and out of the blood.
Right.
So this is really important because your body...
So we're talking about heart disease.
Yeah, absolutely.
Folks tend not to understand that it's not just lipids and fat that gets stuck in those precious arteries. It's more often than not something called hydroxyapatite. It's calcium that's really hard to move. It's calcium that becomes like plaster of Paris in your arteries.
Yeah, when you hear the term arterial sclerosis or hardening of the arteries, that's what they mean calcification of the plaque.
Right. So MK7 really keeps that from happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's very concerning also with doctors recommending for patients to take 12 to 1,500 milligrams of plain calcium carbonate a day without vitamin K in it. Because if you don't shuttle that calcium into the bone tissue with vitamin K, which is your calcium facilitator, it's just spiking the blood levels, and you have wild amounts of calcium circulating.
Yeah, and here these folks are going to the doctor, and their concern is, of course, their precious bone health. And they're being given this information, and lo and behold, they take on a new problem called heart disease. Well,
why do you think that in the last 5 years, women are now surpassing men in the incidence of stroke?
Exactly.
The calcium.
Yeah, it's the calcium. And folks, even the talk that I did today, did a great talk down at the Scituate Racket Club down on Route 3A in Cohasset. Saw a lot of great folks down there. It was a great event that they had down there today. Anyway, during that talk, one of the things that we brought up was, this calcium issue, because, of course, everybody is taking calcium wholesale out there. They're just throwing all this calcium down the hatch, and they're being told by their healthcare professional to do the Tums and just to take the calcium. Nobody's talking about vitamin K. Nobody's talking about magnesium. Nobody's talking about their pH.
Right.
All the really important prerequisite issues to making certain that you're not developing hardening of the arteries with your calcium. And that is an important fact. You can start this process of trying to strengthen your weakened bones and end up with something you never bargained for, which is heart disease.
Yeah, I mean, and that's exactly it. You can see, the increase in calcium supplementation in women go right along a parallel with the increase of stroke.
Great point. So, Jarrow's MK7 is just called that, is it not? MK7. I mean, we didn't have to get fancy with that.
Yeah, I was actually recently.
What should we call it?
Oh, they're so funny. They just sent me some emails this week about we are coming out with a vegan protein.
Right.
And it's going to be a blend of different plant proteins like pea and rice. It'll be soy-free. And we have the scoop on a really cool chlorella protein.
Great.
So, but they're like, these are the names that we're thinking of, and it was so bad. Veggie protein was one of them. I mean, bad. It's just bad.
Let's see, what should we call the MK7? I've got it.
MK7.
Let's call it MK7.
So we're science first.
Well, tell the listening audience what MK7 is.
MK7 is vitamin K in its metaquinone form, and it's a 7-quinone group vitamin K. Basically what this means is that it's the biologically active vitamin K in your body, and it's similar to the vitamin K that's available by prescription. Most other vitamin Ks that you get on the market are K2, are they?
That's right, yep.
They're K2, and they're not assimilated well in your system. So,
and the dose, the particular potency of this MK7 that Jarrow Formulas put together is?
I think it's 50 micrograms.
50 mcgs.
Or it could be 100, and, I'll check on that.
Okay.
But, it's very funny because a lot of people, wow, that's a lot of vitamin K, but when you're getting the right vitamin K... No worries. And it's 90 micrograms.
90 mcgs.
Yeah.
So one a day is all it takes, huh?
Right. And it is as K2. I think it's K3 is the one that is available in supplements that is not necessarily the right form of it. So vitamin K in Japan, they take up to like 100 milligrams of vitamin K.
So if anybody is really concerned about their bones, the osteopenia problem, osteoporosis, and again, who shouldn't be worried about that?
Right.
I think we should all be concerned about it. A lot of the kids even out there these days, because a lot of those kids are using a lot of soft drinks.
Yeah.
And a lot of those soft drinks are, of course, really setting the stage for very serious problems with bone loss.
Yeah,
porous bone tissue, etc. So the idea of trying to strengthen these bones and at the same time really keep those arteries clean is really the key. And MK7 at 90 micrograms a day is a real good way to do that. So if you're concerned about these issues, and here's another issue too. How about the idea of folks that are really less worried about their bones and more worried about the fact that they are obviously at risk for hardening of the arteries, because obviously this country is dealing with an awful lot of heart disease.
Yeah, and it's funny when you look at the food group that we find vitamin K highest in, it's like green leafy veggies. Like our worst nightmare.
That's right. Well, and then you've got so many folks, of course, with blood problems and hemostatic problems, and they're being put on Coumadin and things of this nature. And these medicines, of course, will not allow for you to take these green leafy vegetables.
Well,
it's still, it
doesn't make any sense.
28 years of nutrition, and I still can't get my head around this thing of people coming in the office and saying, no, my doctor said no green leafy vegetables. And it's just crazy that this medication is what it is.
Well, the point being is that if you had green leafy vegetables in your diet, you wouldn't need to be on this pharmaceutical.
Good point.
I remember that used to happen to me constantly in stores, and I think I was just had a bad night, and a lady walked up to me, and, she wanted flax oil, and it had a small amount of vitamin K in it. She goes, "Oh, I can't take this because I'm on blood thinners." And I just I think I was hit a wall at that moment. I was almost just like, I quit. There's so many people that are misinformed.
And virtually everybody that I know who's over 40 is on a baby aspirin a day.
Really?
I mean, it's the number of people who are on baby aspirins right now, healthy, athletic, 40-year-old people who eat well, etc. It's astounding. I remember looking at some research regarding the first aspirin studies as blood thinners. And those very first studies were not with aspirin, they were bufferin.
Yeah, exactly.
And bufferin, of course, is actually magnesium.
I'm sorry.
Okay, so the idea of magnesium plus the aspirin.
Right.
And many of those studies confirmed that it really wasn't the aspirin in the bufferin. It was the magnesium that thinned the blood and that really supported the cardiovascular support.
Magnesium citrate always became,
It's essential.
the go-to thing for any sort of heart.
Absolutely. And if you read any metabolic cardiology stuff like the Sinatra solution, of course, he really emphasizes the importance of magnesium. So I always tell people, look, if you insist on taking aspirin, make sure it's bufferin.
And I have to say,
It's the magnesium you're missing.
yeah, our product, Magnesium Optimizer, that is one of my favorite products, and I take it quite frequently. I feel when my magnesium levels are low,
Yep.
and I eat a really healthy diet. So if
course.
I need magnesium, supplemental magnesium,
Right.
everybody needs it.
Of course. And Sinatra essentially says that it's almost impossible to have too much magnesium, and virtually everybody needs it. The other thing, of course, is, that when you're talking about something like aspirin is not a smart bomb. It doesn't just thin the blood, it thins the blood vessel.
Right.
And if you thin the blood vessel enough, it can rupture. And if it ruptures, you lose the integrity, it hemorrhages, and all kinds of problems can happen. So I always tell people, do your homework, do your searching, look for something like serapeptase, serapeptase, serapeptase. Serapeptase is an enzyme, of course, from the silkworm that the Chinese have used for centuries to thin the blood without recklessly thinning the blood vessels.
Right.
And serapeptase is available in 40,000, 20,000 units. Over the counter, it's FDA approved. Most health food stores have it. Good Health surely does.
Right.
But it's a great way to actually do what aspirin is supposed to do, thin the blood and not the blood vessels.
Yeah, we're so right.
So there are options out there. I wanted to talk a little bit about metabolism. It's one of the things we talked about today. But again, the idea that so many folks are really wasting their metabolism on stress. I brought up that issue continuously today.
Oh my God, that is wild.
It's so important.
My best friend just had a baby, and she is not keeping her weight on because of the stress.
Sure.
And she's naturally more of a anxious person. But you're absolutely right. We were just talking about that. I had her over the house and made her kale and chicken.
Took good care of her.
Yeah, watched the baby so she could just eat for a second. And but we were talking about that, how a lot of people, their metabolism, when you get stressed, your metabolism ramps up and it starts sending a lot of the energy to your fight or flight,
Absolutely.
Organs rather than your digestive system. So not only you become malnourished.
Well, I always say, I keep it real simple. I tell everybody that you've got two metabolisms, efficiency and emergency.
Right.
And your nervous system is essentially aligned with either the efficiency system or the emergency system. And if your nervous system is getting messages from your brain that there's stress happening, whether it's real or perceived, you're moving into what I call an emergency chemistry. That's not efficient.
Right.
So you're not going to burn the calories. You're not going to provide yourself with an even flow of glucose and have great abundance of energy.
Yeah, that's right.
So a lot of folks are really wiped out. They're exhausted. Their energy's up and down. They don't sleep well. They have what I call that reverse metabolism, where they're tired by day and wide awake at night.
That is wild.
It is wild. And I think that, you've got so many folks out there that are experiencing these incredible ebullitions of stress hormones that they don't have control over. And I talked about CES, cranial electrical stimulation, the Fisher-Wallace laboratories. Go to the folks out there in Radioland. If you got a moment or two to do some Googling, some searching, you want to go to CES, cranial electrical stimulation, and I highly recommend that you go to the Fisher-Wallace site. Fisher is how you spell Fisher. Wallace, Wallace. Fisher-Wallace Laboratories has a remarkable site, well documented. It's an amazing product. We use the product, actually, the FW100 unit. The first battery-operated, it's the size of your hand, requires 2 AA batteries. And it's the first battery-operated cranial electrical stimulation device, which actually automates you into a meditative state.
Awesome.
So you can be stressed out of your mind, and you put this thing on, and 10 minutes later, it's like reproducing exactly the same brain waves that meditation does.
Does it travel well?
It travels very well, absolutely. And the other good part about it is they say it's accumulative.
Wow.
So over an extended period of days, weeks, and months, they claim you should do it, as many days of the week you can. But it's accumulative.
Well, when your body gets used to being in a certain state, it's easier to attain that without, being directed to do so.
Right. But our brains, ever since the research of Gage and Erickson at the Salk Institute in 1993, we learned very clearly that the brain is designed to change. It's plastic.
Right.
It's not hardwired. So whatever you frequently tell your brain, whatever thoughts, whatever words you use, whatever you frequent the most in your mind is passed on to your brain, and your brain passes it on to your body. And that's really where stress is born, from this negative patterning of thinking. And so the idea is, yes, if you start thinking positively and create a pattern out of that, eventually you reformat and reprogram your brain to function in a very different sort of way. You move more from the right prefrontal cortex and the midbrain to the left prefrontal cortex, which is the I can do anything Tony Robbins brain. If you tell yourself you can, you're going to eventually believe it. Funny story about Dr. Richard Davidson when he actually tried to coax his subjects into, 10 minutes a day of I feel great kind of stuff. And they said, but Dr. Davidson, what if we don't feel great? And I'll feel like I'm lying to myself. And he says, just lie to yourself until it's not a lie anymore.
Yeah. Right? I say that all the time.
Reformat. We're going to take a short little break, and we'll be right back in just a moment. Stay right where you are.
This is Catherine from Jarrow Formulas. We're happy to have continued our relationship with Mark Nicola in the Health and Healing Show, and we're happy to announce a new product from Jarrow Formulas called Jarrow Cell. We all know that as the body ages, it heals less rapidly and becomes frailer. Often the body is unable to process enough nutrients to repair weakening cartilage and protein fibers. A very important element in building and repairing your body is silicone. But unfortunately, as we grow, you may have difficulty absorbing adequate silicone from your diet. But now, thanks to a product called Jarrow Cell, you can be sure to get your share. Jarrow Cell can give you the silicone you need to support your bone health, bone mineral density, and in addition, Jarrow Cell strengthens and beautifies your hair, skin, and nails. Jarrow Cell is available now in a synergistic liquid formula that also includes boron and zinc. Ask for Jarrow Cell at your local health food stores. Or for more information, you can go to the Jarrow website, which is www.jarrow.com.
Hi there, this is Mark Nicola, the Natural Health and Healing Show. I know that so many of you out there are passionate about the latest cutting-edge nutritional information, would like to go on to that next level. I'm proud to announce that our new natural health care office in Cohasset are offering personalized nutritional consultations. At Santi Holistic Healing, you'll experience an informative, individualized nutritional consultation by one of my finest personally trained nutritional experts. Your consultant will test you for specific food allergies and supplements. Together, you will chart out a personalized, optimal nutritional roadmap that will detail your healthiest foods and nutritional supplements, even specific doses. If that's not enough, we also offer relaxing healing massage at Santi Holistic Healing. Whether it's nutritional consulting or healing massage that you're interested in, we at Santi Holistic Healing are prepared to give you the healing experience of a lifetime. Call us at 781-383-3393. That's 781-383-3393 for the healing experience of a lifetime. All right, one of the things we do have to mention, of course, and we love mentioning, is that Good Health Natural Foods is involved in this project. Of course, they've been our flagship support system here in the Natural Health and Healing Show since day numero uno. So you want to pick up some good Jarrow Formulas products, you know where to get them, right down at Good Health. They're good down there, aren't they?
I can't even, they're awesome.
They know their stuff, they care, they got it going on.
They really support education and, to have me in there and have their staff take time off the floor to learn.
A number of my lectures, they actually take the time to support sending their staff in to be educated at my talks and lectures, and they send them down to one of my intensives to learn my muscle testing system and the whole thing. So they want these guys they want these guys really sharp, you know.
It's really cool.
It's great. And Good Health Natural Foods, of course, located in two easy access areas, 1637 Hancock Street, and that's, of course, in Quincy, 617-773-4925. That's the Quincy store. 219 Columbia Road, Route 53, Hanover Way. 781-826-0808. Go on and say hi to Nick Mincola for me down in Hanover. For all things natural, of course, it is Good Health Natural Foods. Also, I wanted to found this really interesting little piece here, Catherine. A provocative new study published this year in the journal Heart and Circulatory Physiology suggests that there may be a novel way to test at least one element of your heart's health right in your own living room. Sit on the floor with your legs stretched out in front of you, toes pointing up. Reach forward from the hips. Are you flexible enough to touch your toes? If so, then your cardiac arteries are also probably flexible.
What? Can you say that again?
You got to be able to get down on the floor and touch your toes, girl.
Lay down on the floor.
No, you sit on the floor, point your toes up, and then reach forward to do a toe touch.
Oh, okay.
You know, the old exercise.
Like, what?
Listen to this. The University of North Texas actually studied 526 healthy adults between the ages of 20 and 83 to perform the basic sit and reach test described above. Although their extensions were measured precisely with digital devices, taking into account age, gender, researchers then sorted the subjects into either a highly flexible group or a poorly flexible group. What the researchers found was a clear correlation between inflexible bodies and inflexible arteries in subjects older than 40. Adults with poor results on the sit and reach test also tended to have relatively high readings of arterial stiffness. In short, the study concluded that a less flexible body indicates arterial stiffening, especially in middle-aged and older adults. So, interesting stuff. The people who stretched well were the folks who had the greatest level of arterial integrity and the lowest risk for arterial heart disease.
Wow, yoga.
So, yeah, there you go. And actually it goes on, you're absolutely right, because they go on to talk about control group consisted, the University of Texas in Austin, 2008, did a follow-up study and found out that those folks, it says here, the control group consisted of people who stretched. They were not expected to show any change in cardiac function as they continued to stretch, but over the course of 13 weeks, they in fact increased the pliability of their arteries by more than 20%.
Wow, that is.
So in other words, if you can't stretch, you sit down on the floor, you can't touch your toes, you lack arterial integrity, or I should say flexibility. And lacking that arterial flexibility is a risk factor. And then over a period of weeks, by getting down and doing your yoga stretches and learning to stretch and become more flexible, you actually increase the cardiac flexibility of your arteries.
Wow.
Amazing how everything works together. The body is a whole unit, and that's undeniably so. Remarkable stuff, though.
Wow. There's a gentleman in Boston, David Magone. He put together a particular type of yoga.
Oh, yes.
And
I've heard the name.
Yeah, I every so often have a chance to go to his classes. But just the way he put all of the sequences together, it's easier for your body to get into each pose. And so I found myself going through his advanced class and getting through everything.
Well, in that same study, I didn't mention it, but in that very same study, they actually also checked out the weightlifters of the group.
Really?
And those who were avid weightlifters and bodybuilders did not have the flexibility.
I know, actually.
The stretchers and the yoga people did.
Yeah, and that typically is what happens. The bulky muscle tissue is very inflexible.
Correct. So the idea, folks, is if you want to have very flexible arteries and lower the risk of cardiovascular disease, you certainly want to make sure that you maintain a flexible body.
Yeah.
And stretching is an incredible way to do that. And yoga is actually a great way to practice that kind of stretching. Yoga is amazing stuff.
And relieve stress.
And relieve stress. What does that mean? No, I'm just kidding. There's not a whole lot of stress relief taking place in our culture, unfortunately. Everybody that I meet, it's astounding. It's during the course of the week, I meet some really wonderful people in my office, but they just seem to be coming off this treadmill, every single one of them.
Right.
And, You know, I think as a nation, it's destined to awaken us at some point to the fact that stress is really controllable, and it's not worth letting it run rampant and run wild and roughshod over our health.
Right, and you know, you ask yourself, can I still accomplish everything that I accomplish every day, but just do it without stress?
How about this? Can you accomplish oodles more because you can be so much more efficient
And focus.
and organized and focused? And I think the answer there is a slam dunk. Yeah, absolutely. What do you get done when you're stressed? It's kind of like Keystone Cops, you know.
Yeah.
You're bumping into the walls and don't know which end is up. Stress is not a good way to go. All right, one of the things I wanted to come back to here, we talked about metabolism before the break, but a recent University of Pittsburgh nurses study, 115,000 women ages 30 to 55. Listen to this, folks, 5% overweight. Those women ages 30 to 55 who were a mere 5% overweight, a 30% added risk of heart disease. How about 15% overweight and 80% added risk of heart disease?
80%.
80. How about 30% overweight, a 300% added risk of heart disease? 300%. If you're overweight at 40, your life will be shortened by 3 years. If you're obese at 40, your life will be shortened by 7 years. The lifespan of an obese 20-year-old will be shortened by an average of 13 years. It's incredible. So, you know, the time is now to get the message that we as a nation really need to endeavor at taking personal responsibility and engaging in prevention and reversing these risk factors.
Right.
There's no medicine like prevention.
No, and also, as you mentioned, with, you know, there's another dynamic to the overweight, you know, issue. Sometimes people that are thin have a high incidence of cardiovascular disease and diabetes if they don't have muscle tone.
Right.
So it's about the ratio of fat versus muscle in your body.
That's exactly right. And I think that there's a couple basic nutritional tidbits that might go a long way with an awful lot of listeners out there. The idea that starch.
Right.
I love the thing that Barry Sears talked about years ago. One of his graduate students in his program did this remarkable study and found that the average 50-year-old has stored the equivalent of 26,000 pancakes in their lifetime. You know, so there's a real visual for you.
Blueberry?
You know, no. Come on now, no blue. Yeah, more like chocolate chip. There you go. So the idea is that folks think that they have the energetic ability to break down the toast, the pasta, the rice, the potatoes that they eat. They do not. You do not, folks. You're storing that stuff.
Right. One of, you know, my fun things to do with people is people will always ask me what supplements do I take, and I really try to have them focus on their diet first, and then we can isolate supplements that they need. So one fun thing that I do with people is I always tell them to write down in a journal how much protein they get, like over the course of 2 or 3 days. And they should be getting anywhere from half a gram to a gram of protein per pound of body weight every day. And people come back and they, on average, are eating 20% of what their protein intake should be. But the rest of it is filled up with
absolutely.
carbs.
The most common form of malnutrition in America is protein malnutrition. Right. And you know what population suffers the worst?
Yeah.
The hospital population.
Yeah.
So there you go. A hospital is a place of healing, is it not?
Right.
Strange. You can't figure some of these things out. Hospital food, on the other hand, it makes it a little bit easier to figure out, I guess, you know.
Yeah, so for everybody that's listening, you know, half a gram to a gram of protein a day.
So important.
You know, and you can look online and, you know, find out, you know, how much protein is in an average serving of chicken or what have you.
Right.
And just do the test for yourself. Just make yourself become aware of this aspect of your diet.
Well, the other thing that I like to tell folks is that there's 2 major distinctions with carbohydrates.
True.
One is a high glycemic or high sugary carb, starchy carb, and those are the comfort foods, the pasta, the rice, the potatoes, the bagels. And the other is a low like a low glycemic carbohydrate, and those are basically all your fruits and vegetables. So I tell people, look, if you could really understand that the energy and the fuel that you get from a low starch vegetable, broccoli, or green beans, whatever, is almost immediately, well, it's immediately utilized. It's really efficient. You're not going to store anything. You use it, you're given energy from it, and yes, vegetables are carbohydrates. They're efficient carbohydrates that give you immediate blast of energy.
They have great fiber.
Great fiber. And then on the other hand, you know, the bagels and the pasta and the rice and all that stuff are just basically you're going to use on an average about 1/3 of it. And store. What does it store as?
Sugar.
Well, it stores sugar converts to fat. So they store as fat, which is, you know, so many women, of course, talk about how they, you know, so many women that I've seen over the years in my office, in my practice, have suggested that it's really hard for them. They say, geez, my husband doesn't seem to really care that much about the bagels and the bread and all that stuff, but I really seem to have a bad hankering for those high-starch comfort foods. And, you know, there are 600,000 gallbladders removed in America every year. 90% are women.
Oh, my goodness.
90%.
Really?
Because the gallbladder, of course, is involved in what? The breakdown of fat.
Yeah, bile production.
So bile production to try to set up this fatty metabolism. And it's so difficult for their bodies to be able to contend with all of this fat from stored bagels and pasta and breads and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, one of the really important messages there is you've hit it right on the head. Get your protein ratios up. And my message, of course, is to get the ratios of your low liability carbohydrates up. Get your get the veggies and fruits up, and get all that starchy stuff down, folks.
Right.
Especially if it's got white flour. Yuck.
That's great. Low liability.
Low liability carbohydrates, baby. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and, you know, fresh stuff, we're all guilty of it, but now every week I make sure that I get a bunch of celery at the beginning of the week. I cut it up and then put it in the fridge, and then
that's the way to do it, and fill up on that stuff, and feel good on that stuff. Yeah. You know, there's a really unique concept. You know, so many folks come in, I put them through a program, and after about a month or so, they say, you know, I really feel great. I get this deluge of emails and texts and stuff all week long saying, I've never felt better in my life, and I'm thinking to myself, you've never eaten before. You know,
no,
it's prerequisite to feeling good. Yeah. You know, get the fruits and vegetables in the body, get the lean proteins going. You're going to feel a lot better.
Yeah, that's amazing.
You know, it's so amazing. It absolutely is. We want to talk also about a couple more products from Jarrow Formulas, and you've always got something on the line there. I know that there's some remarkable products there that we probably benefit hearing from. Why don't you share one other one with us?
Well, I'm going to, because we were talking about the Gyrodophilis IBS, we have a couple other products, Gyrodophilis products. There's been a real trend to high-potency probiotics.
Right.
You know, and the probiotic industry has exploded over the last 2 years. You find acidophilus in yogurt now, like Activia.
Right.
You know, Philips has a colon health product that's all bacteria. You know, so there's a whole new level to it, and it's understanding what is the mechanism behind all of these bacteria, what kind of blend are we looking for, what's a good profile of bacteria, and then, of course, you know, it's great to have high-potency bacteria, but if they're not the right strains and they don't have some sort of enteric coating, you're going to be losing most of that potency of the stomach acid. So.
And generally, the healthy bacterial population in a serving of one of these kind of probiotics is anywhere from 5 to 20 billion with a B.
Yeah.
And a serving of yogurt is 50,000.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
It's a little different.
A lot more zeros when you take these supplements.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, the strains are genetically ID'd. They're clinically studied. And you have your lactobacillus bacteria, and I like to tell people that those are your food fermenters. They help your digestive system digest food. And then you have your bifidobacteria, and those are like the immune system bacteria.
Which kids really need.
Right, and when we're infants, we have a large population of bifidobacteria, and then also in senescence, we have a large population of bifidobacteria.
Well, and folks need to understand that 99% of the bacteria in your body is good stuff. Only 1 to 2% is really bad stuff, but it doesn't take much to really throw your body into a tailspin.
Oh, no, it's like 10 to the 9th.
It's 10 to the 9th, and it's micrograms, that's right. And it's so very important for you to make sure that you are resupplying yourself with good stuff because you're constantly being exposed to unhealthy bacteria.
Right. So you want, when you're picking out a probiotic...
Especially kids.
Yeah.
Did you ever notice that? You go to a daycare center. Is there any good bacteria in a daycare center? That is the question of the hour.
Germ machines. You want, in your bacteria blend, you want like a healthy profile of bifido and lactobacilli.
Right.
You know, if it is an infant formula, it's going to be primarily bifidobacteria, and you want a variety of strains. You don't want just one strain or two strains.
Sure.
You want a variety of strains, and if you're looking at high potency, you want to make sure that it's stable on the shelf, it's shelf stable, and you're getting what the label claims you're getting. Consumer Labs did an across-the-board survey of a lot of probiotics that are on the market, and a lot of the high-potency probiotics that are claiming 50 billion and 100 billion in population, when they tested them out, they were like about 30% below label claim. So,
what a surprise.
Yeah, it's really important to go with, companies that have a long clinical documentation in this industry, and they're using really good strains, and they take measures and efforts to get the bacteria to the store.
I always love the EPS system that you have. I think that's as good as it gets.
Yeah, and that's only 5 billion.
It's a great system, though.
Yeah, and there's all of the stuff.
Multiple strains.
And the strains that we use are on license from Institute Roselle. These strains have been used in human health for over 75 years. So they have a long history of showing a health benefit.
An awful lot of folks, tomorrow Monday morning, a lot of folks are going to get on a plane tomorrow and do their business. Mm-hmm. And obviously you're going to come up against an awful lot of stuff in that airplane. There's an awful lot of bacteria in there, a lot of viruses and germs and whatnot. And for those folks that are going to board that plane, how awesome is the concept of taking some really good probiotic support on a Sunday night before you hit that plane?
Right.
And really just keeping your system loaded up. And not just that Sunday night prior, but really, they say it's a 21-day cycling, where you get these good bacteria in your system and really strengthen, fortify yourself for these exposures.
There's also... it may be something up and coming for us, but I'm not going to commit to that yet. But there's...
Come on, do we have a scoop here or what?
We might have
Come on, you can do it. We've got a scoop, everybody. Grab the pens.
We might have a possibility to have a probiotic gum.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, it would be sweetened with xylitol and lohan.
Wow.
And it would
what an amazing thing that would be, especially for kids.
That's not cool.
That's fantastic, and that's actually an industry first.
Mm-hmm. It is.
That's amazing.
So this year hopefully we'll have 2 industry.
Now the pressure's on, so we're all going to call Jaro tomorrow and tell him Catherine told us. No, that sounds fantastic. I really hope that does come to fruition. That's amazing. We are going to take a very short little break. Larry's going to take this wagon out of here, and we'll be back in just a minute. Hi there, this is Mark Mincole, the Natural Health and Healing Show. I know that so many of you out there are passionate about the latest cutting-edge nutritional information, would like to go on to that next level. I'm proud to announce that our new natural health care offices in Cohasset are offering personalized nutritional consultations. At Santi Holistic Healing, you'll experience an informative, individualized nutritional consultation by one of my finest personally trained nutritional experts. Your consultant will test you for specific food allergies and supplements. Together, you will chart out a personalized, optimal nutritional roadmap that will detail your healthiest foods and nutritional supplements, even specific doses. If that's not enough, we also offer relaxing healing massage at Santi Holistic Healing. Whether it's nutritional consulting or healing massage that you're interested in, we at Santi Holistic Healing are prepared to give you the healing experience of a lifetime. Call us at 781-383-3393. That's 781-383-3393 for the healing experience of a lifetime.
Hi, this is Laura from Good Health Natural Foods, proud sponsor of the Natural Health and Healing Show. This year, let us help you save money and make every dollar count. Come by our stores in Quincy Center or Route 53 in Hanover. We've got everything you need year-round. Organic produce, natural groceries, vitamins, health and beauty items for everyone on your list. Visit us at goodhealthnaturalfood.com for monthly specials and new cutting-edge products. Thanks for listening to the Health and Healing Show.
All right, the first 3 months of the year, January, February, and March, are the busiest dieting months of the year. 26%, an average 24 to 26% of the adult population in America.
And the gyms are the busiest.
On the gyms, try to get a machine, et cetera. It's impossible. So people are really, they're hitting the gyms, they're hitting the treadmills, they're walking on those fairly warm days whenever they do occur, like this week, hopefully. And so the object here is we need to help these folks from a metabolic perspective. We've been talking about weight loss and metabolism a little bit this evening. And an awful lot of people out there need to know that there's various supplements that can help them to cut cravings, et cetera. One of the first things that comes to mind for folks that have the sugar cravings, they're saying, this is the first of the year, I really want to cut the sugar thing. I have this terrible problem with sugar cravings. What can I use? I suggest glutamine.
Absolutely.
So glutamine is a product that you folks have, yes?
Yeah, it's an amino acid. You can have it in a powder form, capsule, or a tablet.
Probably 500 milligrams, something like that?
Yep. Glutamine is really good for the digestive system.
Sure.
But it's also good. It helps to nourish the muscle tissue, and it also helps reduce lactic acid buildup after a workout.
Wow.
So you don't get a lot of the after workout kind of sore.
Right.
The next day.
And a lot of research, of course, amazing research that's been done regarding helping people to cut the sugar blues.
Yeah, with glutamine.
Yep, and you've got some other, for a lot of folks who are interested in hitting those gyms this time of year and really getting it happening and getting into some bodybuilding and sculpting and trying to get their act together. You've got some creatine surge and things like that. Talk about that a little bit.
This formula is really unique, and I really love it. It's called creatine surge, and creatine is most often associated with really muscle gainer and
right.
Things like that. But creatine recently has gone through major studies in the treatment of fibromyalgia in giving your muscle tissue kind of the oomph that it needs to get off the couch, and this formula is really unique because it has creatine, glutamine, ribose, which is a sugar for your muscle, so that you're not...
A pentose.
Yeah, it's a pentose instead of a glucose, so you're nourishing your...
Healthy sugar, folks.
Yeah.
Safe sugar, good sugar.
Yep. And taurine, which is...
Nerve membrane stabilizer.
Yeah, to help with the workout. And then vitamin C, is to help repair the muscle tissue after you tear it. When you are building it.
Yep.
And then alpha-lipoic acid to help stabilize their blood sugar while you're burning the glucagon
that is remarkably well thought out, I can tell you that.
Yeah, so it's a great formula, and the dosing is in there for bodybuilding, but if you're somebody that is just doing workouts and you want to optimize your workout and really nourish the muscle tissue through your workout, you can do half a serving of that, particularly for women.
Called creatine surge. And something, I think you mentioned something a moment ago that I think is really important for a lot of folks that are just getting into exercise programs, or for those folks who are exhausted and maybe losing some of their energy in their already existing exercise programs. I think ribose is really an important supplement for those folks who are getting it going.
Remember the Olympic skiing?
Yes, absolutely right. She was a silver medalist who came on to talk to us.
We'll have to follow up and see how she's
doing. We should do that. Absolutely right. Yeah. We're going to do that. But ribose, talk about that a little bit.
Well, ribose is a 5-carbon sugar, and so your muscle tissue and your metabolism operates based on sugars, either glucose which is a 6-carbon sugar, or pentose. Your pentose sugars bypass the insulin response.
Right.
So you get the energy from your sugar, but you don't have to produce insulin.
Without burning out your liver and your pancreas.
Right. So, you talk about all the time how insulin is pro-inflammatory.
Right.
Which makes sense because insulin helps the cells open up to receive the glucose.
Yes.
So pro-inflammatory. So ribose can do this without the insulin response. So you're getting all the energy to the muscle tissue, but you're not spending your body's insulin, and you're not putting your body in inflammatory
Those
state.
muscles really need that ribose. And it's so important for folks to really remember, too, that the heart is a muscle. It's your preeminent muscle. Well, think about it, because one of the things that metabolic cardiology and Dr. Sinatra's work is really all about is the idea that your heart needs that pentose. It needs that really important support from ribose.
Your heart is the most functioning muscle in your whole body.
Absolutely. And ribose is one of those things that really, whenever I take it, I really feel it.
Right.
You know, it's amazing. It gives you such a balanced, healthy form of energy supply.
And it
really
tastes
gives you a great boost. Oh, it tastes delicious.
It's just like the sugar.
And it takes so little of it.
Right.
The little scoops are like, 2,200 milligrams per tiny little scoop there, 2.2 grams in the tiniest of scoops, the size of your pinky. And it goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. And I think here's what I hear from a lot of folks who do go to the gyms. The folks who go to the gyms who take their ribose say, wow, I can keep going and going and going.
Yeah,
as opposed to the folks who go to the gym and say, I'm done. I'm tired. I just don't have it today.
Yeah.
There's no point in having that gym membership and having all those good intentions if you don't have the energy to push through the workout.
Right.
And if you're pushing like that, you might want to consider some ribose.
Right.
And I, again, love the ribose that you guys put together. I've used it and really have felt great with it ever since I've started using it.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. So for people that are out there and their New Year's resolution and stuff like that, understand that these supplements are not just for the bodybuilding industry.
Great point.
Yeah, it's even if you're just doing yoga or what have you, your muscle tissue needs nourishment.
Well, if you just want to feel better,
right.
If you just want to feel some energy without getting geeked out on caffeine, because there's two ways to get energy, and one of them is the wrong way. And of course, when you take the caffeine and you're kind of like talking out of your ears and you don't know which end is up, twitching, forget the sleep and the napping and all that kind of stuff. You're just kind of out of it, But I think when you do it properly with things like ribose, you feel this incredible healthy surge of energy. And you know what I really like? I like using the DMAE with ribose.
I know.
If you use that DMAE with the ribose, folks, I'm telling you, you're going to feel like you're about 15 years old out there. It's just awesome. Great, great stuff. Well, Catherine Foley, wow, it's great to have you back. You and I just could do this all night.
Yeah.
Well,
it's fun stuff.
It's great. It's great.
I think that, we're reaching a new level of awareness where so many people...
You're so right.
This is becoming a way of life for so many people.
Well, there's a certain contagion. Our passion is becoming their passion, and it's a great thing. I think we're all kind of coming together over the possibilities and the potentials of what we can all do for our health. Yeah. And it's a great time of year, too, I think, to look ahead at all that stuff, you know. So thank you so much for coming on, and don't be a stranger.
I won't be.
And for those folks who are interested in viewing this program, Adam Ing gets the salute for that because, per usual, he is the podcast meister who makes it possible for us to put this recording on the website so you can take a look at it, either audio or visual. So www.maxhealing.com or markmincola.com. Take your pick. So hopefully you check that out. Until next Sunday, where you can hear us right here at 95.9 FM WATD. This is Mark Mincola reminding you all, please be wise, be aware, be well. Make it a healthy week. Good night.
Thank you for joining Mark Mincola for the Natural Health and Healing Show. Call Mark each Sunday.